So I just took off the form and I sanded the edge. And this is what it looks like on the other side of the edge. And as you guys can see, no self-level got through. So that easy flow caulk, which is right here, worked. It actually worked so good it stuck the wood to it. But all we have is the concrete here, and over here, same thing, just the concrete. It's looking really good. I sanded the edges because it had like a little flow up. It was flowing up a little bit. So I sanded that so that that won't crack the way it did here. But that's okay. I'm just gonna be filling that with 2-part epoxy. The caulk held here, the painter's caulk. But yeah, everything's looking mighty sweet. The next step is to grab a mop with water and acetone and mop this area. The reason that I am using acetone and water to mop the floor is because the acetone gets rid of anything that's on top of the surface that could mess around with the sealer. And also, acetone and water dries quicker than just water. Self-level is gonna suck a little bit of the water, it's gonna take long to dry. So if you use acetone, the acetone will dry quick, much quicker than water. So that's the reason, that's the 2 reasons why we use it. So let me go upstairs and steal my wife's mop and bucket and mop this area. I might have to buy her a new one, but this is a sacrifice we gotta make to finish this floor. Here I have the bucket of sealer, and it says to prep the area, make sure there's no dirt, wax, foreign matter, a whole bunch of other stuff. And now that we have that floor prepped, we are going to throw the sealer on here and apply 2 coats. It says minimum 2 coats. I don't know how much time I have to wait in between, so I'm going to use my judgment to get that done. So let's just start. That's what, my first row. Now we're just gonna let it dry. I just had to soak that roller once. Once it was soaked, I just rolled it on and I didn't have to soak it again. So I guess I don't need much of that stuff. Since last time I started from left to right, I'm gonna start now from right to left. My reasoning for doing that is because when I soaked this, a lot of it was left in this area. And as I went, the roller was more dry when it reached this section. So by starting on this side and heading this way, it'll be equal. So it's not 100% dry, like there's still little spots, but I'll roll it now and get it over with. So the 2 coats of sealer is officially done. Now that the video is finishing up, I'm gonna go over the do's, the don'ts, the mistakes I made, and pretty much sum everything up, because as much as I'm showing the process of the basement, some people might be watching this video just for the self level. And I really messed up on this self level, and I made a lot of mistakes that I'm glad I made it in this corner, because that corner is going to be kind of covered. Some of it is going to be seen, but it is what it is. We're in the basement. If I ever do this job like in a kitchen or something, because I really like this floor, I know what not to do, and this was the perfect place to do it. So I'm going to show you guys why the floor came out bad and what not to do, which is more important, I believe, than what to do. So let me show you. Before we get into it, check out the floor. The 2 coats have dried or cured or whatever it is. It's kind of a satin finish, maybe a semi-gloss. You guys can see that shine right there. It's probably a semi-gloss finish. If you guys are looking for a satin finish, definitely don't use this one. But I like this stuff because it's commercial. So we're gonna start in this corner. You see this line right here? Like that? That was me touching the self level maybe 2 hours after I poured the stuff. And I also rub this here to see if that mark goes away. Also, I stepped on the floor with dirty feet. So you see my Vans? See that right there? That's not coming up. That's permanent. And that also happened over here. It's very clear, that right there. And that's not going away. The good thing is that my goal is to put cabinets, and it's gonna reach around here, so you won't see it as much. The other problem is, if we shine the light on it, that looks like cellulites. That is no good. This happened with the spike roller. So, do I recommend it? Yes, the spike roller is recommended, but once you pour it, roll the spikes, run away. Don't do it again. And it's the same problem with this right here. You see that? That's I don't know how good this could be seen. There is, you know what? Give me one moment. Let me put the camera down. Let me show you something. So you can see this stroke here. You can see this gap right here and this gap over here. If you look closer over here, it's up in the air. So there's a bit of a slope like this, and you can feel this texture. You can't feel it through the camera, but there is a texture here. And that was because I took a trowel and went like this with it. I made like a swirl, and that's what messed it up. I was still playing with this stuff when the stuff was already setting. So that's a mistake. And this over here, this line over here, this isn't bad, to be honest. It's just visually ugly. Like, this is flat. This is all flat. Over here is a bit rough, but this is all flat. But this is because I took the same troweler and rubbed it against here like this, which is an absolute no-no. So to sum it up, once it cures, don't put your hands on it. Don't step on it because you get a mark. Those two, a little mark over here. And when the stuff is setting, don't touch it. Leave it alone. Leave the stuff alone. And when you leave it alone, you get something nice like this. And this is what we were looking for. Those nice little swirls. And this swirl over here is very smooth and beautiful. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna protect this floor, because this is the finished floor, but I still have work in here. I have the sheetrock to do. I have this wall to demo. They're gonna come in and patch this hole. I have to demo that part also. So there's still a bit of work to be done here. The reason why I did this side of the floor is because I want to sheetrock this wall, tape this wall, and get it done. So let's protect this floor now. So I used white paper because what I've seen from my experience at work, when you put brown paper, sometimes the color transfers through. But when you use this paper, and this is architectural drawing paper, like blueprint drawing paper, this is very soft stuff. It's not going to stick or transfer to the floor below. This stuff will disintegrate before sticking to the floor below. So if you use like construction grade paper or reinforced paper, it might stick to the floor if it gets wet or something. That's why I use this paper. And I want to protect the floor because I don't want to be cutting the sheetrock and everything and it falling on the paper. But I'm going to be extra careful and, you know, make sure it doesn't go wet, which shouldn't be difficult until I start doing that floor over there. But we'll figure it out and we'll cross that bridge when we get there. This quarter of the floor is done. It's protected. I hope you guys learned something new from these two parts. I hope you guys take in consideration the mistakes that I made. I didn't make it on purpose, but I'm glad I made them because you guys are able to see what not to do and what tools to use and how to use them and how not to use them, which I think is way more important than knowing how to use it. If you guys are interested in seeing the rest of the floor done, the rest of this room done, consider subscribing. And if you learned something new, let me know by giving me a like. And if you have any comments, questions on what's going on in this room, any questions about this, anything that I missed that you might have questions about, let me know in the comments down below. I'll be sure to answer every single one of them. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you guys on the next one.